All right. So let's take a look at managing files using command line tools. Let's do that whole share the screen. Okay. All right. So moving on into. Okay. Okay, good. Yeah, I shut down something else that was using up the internet. So we'll see if that works for the rest of the class. If that works well. Also, when we switch over to the what's it called? The virtual machine to be able to see examples going on. You'll also need to let me know if that causes major problems as well. All right, let's see. So we want to be able to quickly move files around, copy files from one place to another, delete files, do the same thing with directories as well. All right, so basically, just like I said earlier today, all of command line stuff is going to be pretty simple. It's going to be a command of some kind followed by arguments. All right, so what we're going to do here is we're going to say copy. So to copy a file, we're just going to use the cp command. All right, so we're going to copy. We're going to copy a file, file1, to be file2. Okay. Okay. If we are going to copy multiple files into a directory, because if here it's easy, right? It's easy for it to figure out, oh, we're copying one file into another file. Okay. And this does not have to be in the current directory we're in. The file1 could be a directory. Could be, sorry, not could be a directory. Could be a directory that we're trying to get to. So we could be copying a file from one directory into another directory. We'll see an example. Okay. Here, if we want to copy multiple files, well, you can't copy multiple files into another file. Right, so if we copy multiple files, we need to put them all into a directory. Okay, we can move a file from one place to another. All right, here the result could be a rename. Okay, and the reason why we say that is we may be moving it from one directory to another directory, but we could also move it as one file in one directory into another file with a different name in another directory or in the current directory that we're in. Okay. Same thing with moving files from one place to another. All right. Okay. If we want to remove a file, right, we can do that. Same thing, we can remove multiple files. Okay. The -f command line argument tells me to force it to happen. Okay, we'll explain that. All right, we can create a directory using the mkdir, the make directory command. All right, same thing here. All right, we can, what this does, so if we were to make a directory, okay, if we were to make a directory in the current directory, the current folder location that we are, that's fine. If we wanted to make a directory that has parent directories that don't exist already, if we don't include the -p command, it won't let us do that. If we include the -p, it's going to create the other directories along the way. So, for example, let's say I'm sitting here in the class materials folder. Actually, you can't see that, can you? Let's say I was in the class materials folder. If you remember from the window that I had open in the last hour, and I want to create a directory inside of the assignments directory that says quizzes. Okay. Now, let's say that that assignments directory doesn't already exist. It's got to create it if I'm going to do that. And that's what the -p command does. It says to create the parent directories if they don't already exist. Okay. We can copy directories using also the cp command. The -r command line argument is for recursion. It's saying copy this directory to this directory, but also include everything inside of it. Because what's the point of copying one directory to another if we're not also copying what's inside of it, right? Again, we can move one directory to another. That's kind of like a rename again. If directory 2 exists, the result is a remove. The result is a move. If directory 2 doesn't exist, the result is a rename. Okay. All right, so we're moving it from here into here. Yeah. We can also remove the directory. You have to use the -r to remove everything inside of it. Otherwise you'll get a bunch of prompts. So here, if I were to, you guys know from probably working with Windows or Mac OS or whatever it is you're used to, if you go to delete a directory, a lot of times it just deletes the whole thing. The -r command says delete everything inside of it as well. Okay. All right. So here we can make a directory inside of one. We might make a directory inside of the video. It actually should be videos directory called watched. Okay. Oh, actually, sorry. Oh, yeah. That's why it gets this error, is because there is no directory called videos. Right? There's no directory called video. And so because there is no video directory, it can't create a watched directory inside of the video directory. Okay. If we use the -p option, there would be no error and the user would end up with a video directory with a watched directory inside of it. Okay. I hope that makes sense. Okay. What they really were intending to do was make a video, a directory called watched inside of the videos directory. And now this works. Okay. So here we're using, so now we're moving into the documents folder. We can make project X, project Y directories that show up here. Okay. If we want to make a thesis folder, chapter 1, thesis folder chapter 2, thesis folder chapter 3, what happens? The -p command says, the -p argument says, I want to create the thesis folder if it doesn't already exist. Okay. So you see inside of the documents folder, now we have a thesis folder. Inside of the thesis folder, now we have chapter 1, 2, and 3. Okay. So that's how the make directory command works. The cp command copies. All right, so I'm copying one full file into another. All right, so now I have both this and this. All right. So if I want to copy multiple files with one command, maybe I want to copy thesis chapter 1 and 2 into the thesis, and the thesis directory into project X. Okay, the reason why this didn't work was that we did not use the -r command, the command line argument. And the reason why, so the two thesis chapter.odf files moved their way into project X, but the thesis directory did not, because there are things inside of the thesis directory. And because of that, what has to happen is we need to use the -r argument to say everything inside of the thesis folder needs to also come along with the thesis folder. Okay, I hope a lot of this is making sense. Again, a lot of this you learn through practice. And so anyway, so that's the copy command. That's the way we can copy things from one place to another. So notice that they still exist in the old place, right? Thesis still exists in the old place. Thesis .odf still exists in the old place. They just also now exist in the new place as well. Okay. All right. Usually, though, what we really want to do is move files. We don't necessarily want to create copies of one file into another sometimes, right? I mean, for example, I'm teaching 3 courses this semester. Technically 4, but yeah, I'm teaching 3 lecture times. So what I needed to do was I needed to have slides, I need to have a syllabus available, right, to be able to go over each of those courses. But there was a lot of information that was shared, right? So if you guys remember, if you look at the syllabus, hopefully you've looked at the syllabus or the syllabus slides for this course. Right, if you looked at it, you noticed there was certain things that was the same, certain things that were the same, like, for example, my information, my contact information, or maybe the slide about academic integrity, for example. That's all the same, right? I use that same slide on each of those places, but each of those needed to be their own separate PowerPoint file or own separate PDF file. And the reason why was because there's different information. When the class meets, what's the course objective, what's the timeline, what's it called, the tentative outline of schedule, right, for how the weeks are going to go. So what we could do is what I can do is use the copy to copy one file into another, right, and then change the second one a little bit to fit what it needs to be. So I might copy CSE 101 syllabus.pdf into CSE 313 syllabus.pdf and then just make some changes to the CSE 313, right? Instead of having to type all that same information twice, because that would be very annoying, right? So sometimes what we want to do, though, is move files, right? We don't want to, like in this example up here, I didn't want to keep this thesis chapter 1 in this folder. I didn't want to keep them in both places, right? I really just want to have one file because for those of you, for the master's students on the call, as you're preparing your thesis, for those of you who are getting up to that year that you're preparing your senior design project and stuff like that. I think for most of you in this class, that'll be next year, right? You don't want to keep all these multiple files that represent kind of the same thing because it's like, okay, wait, was this the one that I changed last? Was this the one that I changed last? I can't remember. What you want is you want one file in one place and you know that's where it is, right? Okay, like you don't want to keep your thesis Word document. You don't want to keep it both in Dropbox and in Google Drive and forget which one is the more correct one, right? So if we want to move a file or a folder from one place to another, we don't keep the old one, okay? So we can move a file to be another file. All right, so if we look and we see thesis chapter 1.odf, after we're done, thesis chapter 1.odf, oh, it's not here. It's not inside of my directory like it was before. Where is it? Well, sorry, thesis chapter 2, the first one here. Thesis chapter 2.odf, I renamed it to something else. All right. Move thesis chapter 1.odf into thesis/chapter 1. So what's going to happen? It's going to be removed from the documents directory and put inside of, oh, and it's on the next page. Thesis chapter 1, right? Thesis chapter 1, thesis chapter 1.odf. Notice what happened though. Here, by using the move command here, it moved it into this directory, but kept this name. Okay, So when we look into chapter 1, what do we see? Inside of chapter 1, it has the same name as it did before. Okay. All right. So we've talked about copying and moving. Let's talk about removing, getting rid of. Okay. So we can remove files. It deletes files, but not directories on its own. We can use the -R to remove directories. So if I were to remove a file, it just gets rid of it. It's no longer there. If I were to remove a directory, it says I can't do that. It's a directory, which means there's stuff inside of it, and I don't know if you want to delete those or not. Okay. So then remove -R says, okay, now we're going to remove everything inside of it as well. Remove -RI. So this is recursive and interactive. So what it's asking is saying, okay, I want you to remove this directory, but each file inside of it, I want you to tell me what it is. And if I want to keep that, then I don't want you to delete that, right? So it's going to say, do you want to also delete thesis? Yes. Do you also want to delete thesis chapter 2? Yes. So, and so forth. So it's going to ask you about each file and folder inside of the directory you're trying to delete. Okay. You could use the rmdir command to delete our directory. It'll only work if it's not empty. Sorry, it only delete it if it's empty. So if you rmdir, right, gets rid of project Y because project Y is different, but project X, it will say I can't delete that because it's a directory and it's not empty. But if you use the -R argument, then it works. Okay. All right. So that's about moving and removing and copying and moving around and all that stuff. What I would do if we were in a classroom environment is I would have you now at this point pull up your computers and go through this. I'm a bit concerned that with all of you running possibly virtual machines on this call right now, that it could really bog down. It could really make the call very laggy. So we won't do this today. But again, I will post this to the class. I'll post this to the Microsoft Teams site. Go through this, okay? Go through this, and if you have questions, contact me. Yeah, so I want you guys to go ahead and go through this. All right. I'll post them sometime today. All right. So again, this is a guided exercise that tells you how to go through and use some of this. Okay. Now, we can use pattern matching. So some of you have, I believe, been through the database class. So we talked about wildcards in strings in a database. What we want to do is sometimes, like you saw that thesis chapter 1, thesis chapter 2, thesis chapter 3, an example in the previous section. You know, what if I wanted to do the same thing with all of my thesis chapters? Like, I don't want to have to type in 1 and 2 and 3 and all that, because again, I want to make life easy for myself, not hard. So we can do that through pattern matching and using wildcards, right? And so get to know some of these symbols, all right? So star is any string of 0 or more characters, a single character. This tilde is the home directory, okay? The current working directory, the previous working directory, and so forth. Okay? Get to know some of these. Okay, get to know all of these. All right. But let's take a look at how they can be used. Okay. All right. So let's say I wanted to list all the files that started with A. Okay. So let's say we make these. Remember, the touch command makes all these empty files. Okay. So let's say I wanted to list all of the files that started with A. I could do ls a star. All of the files that start with A. What if I wanted to list all the files that had an A in there somewhere? Okay. Well, ls star a star says any 0 or more characters before the A includes an A, and any 0 or more characters after the A. Okay. What if I wanted to list any files that had an A or a C in them? Could do that using this. All right. Now remember, the question mark was a single character, right? Any single character. So what is this doing? ls 4 question marks. It's listing all 4 character files. And then this in the same way as listing all 5 character files. Okay. Okay. Now I can also, let's say I want to list all of the files that are in the user's home directory, like all of the files that are in the user's home directory that is in the user's home/glob directory. Okay, the tilde is used to match the current user's home directory. Not so useful. Like this example is kind of maybe not a great example for them to have used, because it's the directory that I'm currently in that I want to list the files in. But you get the idea that I can use the tilde if I'm not in that directory to look into the home directory. Okay. Now this is where it can get very fun and interesting, is this whole brace expansion thing. Okay. So echo echo is like a print command. Okay, it displays stuff to the screen. So it's similar to maybe Java's print line method, or the printf in C, stuff like that. So echo is going to display to the screen. Okay, so echo open brace Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, close brace dot log is going to expand this out and say, okay, take the first item, dot log, second item, dot log, third item, dot log, and so forth. Right? So Sunday dot log, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, right? Echo 1 dot dot 3 is going to say, okay, 1, 2, 3. So it'd be the same as if I had done 1, 2, 3. Right? So I can use, instead of echoing, think about this, right? What if I were to echo this? What if I said touch file open curly brace 1 dot dot 3 dot text? Instead of just displaying this to the screen, what this could do is this could create multiple files all at once, right? And that can be a very, very useful tool, right? So here, AB12 is going to create 4 files, an A1 file, an A2 file, a B1, and a B2. Now, in all of these examples, they're all just displaying this to the screen. We're just displaying this to the screen. But if we were to replace echo with touch or copy or move, we could actually operate on multiple files at once. Okay. All right. Okay. So let's see. So what we could do also is the command substitution is if we have this $sign command, we can actually put inside of something. So echo, the time is blank, minutes past blank, right? This means I want to display to the screen. I can use commands inside of this $sign to be able to put a command inside of another command. Okay, this is a very useful tool here as well. Okay. Let me get over to, okay, so we finished up the managing files. And I think this is path, was this the path name expansion? Yep. Okay. All right. And then again, there will also be a lab here as well. Okay. So I would like you to go ahead and do this practice here. As I said, all of the quizzes, all the practices, the lab, I'm going to go ahead and put those out there on the Microsoft Teams page here shortly. All right. I would like you to go ahead and go through them. Okay. So I think this is right. So this was an example here of how we can use the touch command with that curly brace expansion to be able to create multiple files all at once, right? So here we created TV season 1, episode 1, TV season 1, episode 2, TV season 1, episode 6, TV season 2, episode 1, TV season 2, episode, and so forth. Okay, so these are ways that we can create and manipulate multiple files at one time if they have the same kind of general format. Okay. All right. Okay. All right. So I do want to go ahead and at least mention chapter 3. So I want to go ahead and I don't want to spend a lot of time on this, and there's a particular reason for that. But I do want to at least mention the man command that is basically giving us the manual, the programmer's manual, so that we can get quick information that's saved for certain commands and for certain ways of doing things, okay? So we could do man is the command, the topic is the command line argument we're going to use, okay? So get to there. So for example, let's say I were to say, okay, I want the man password, right? Displays a list of page topics that have the password command in it somewhere. Okay, so you see these are some different different pages that have the word, this keyword in it. Okay. Okay, so we use the manual command, the man command, in order to get access to some of these manual pages. Okay. Now, there's also this pinfo, right? Using the pinfo command to be able to get information that's in kind of more of a visual format that we can understand. Right. So I do want you to go ahead and have a bird's eye understanding, a kind of a general understanding of the pinfo to be able to get access to that. All right. All right. And I think that's pretty much, yeah, that was pretty much what I wanted to make sure you understood, was the man and the pinfo and understanding how to read some of this documentation. Again, you have access to all of this through the HTML resources at the least. I hope all of you have gotten access to that because it's free. Some of you may have gone ahead and purchased the student workbook, although I imagine that's very few of you, if any. The main thing is I wanted you to understand that Linux does have kind of an onboard way to access help to be able to get the things. The truth is, most of you probably, much like me, Google is much more understood and useful for you for a lot of these issues. So if you're looking for information about the password command, you're probably going to just Google it and probably click on the first Stack Overflow link that shows up, right? And so but I do want you to at least have an understanding that Linux provides, Linux Red Hat and Linux CentOS provide ways to be able to access that information without having to go out and trust the internet. Okay, Let's go ahead with the last bit of time we have remaining. What I want to do is I want to go ahead and go back to our CentOS system here. Okay. I want to go ahead and go over a few examples so that you can see how we do this. Okay. All right, so I want to, well, the first thing I'm going to have to do is, let's see, where am I? What is my working directory right now? How do we find out what my working directory is? Print working directory, right? Okay, so I am in the home directory of Jay Leday. Okay, that's my current home directory. What if I want to, what if I want to look at what students there are, or sorry, what users I have, or what, hold on 1 second. What if I want to see what all my users are on this? Well, I could go up a directory into the home directory. I could list what's there, and I could see these are the users that I have on this system. All right. Now, is there a way that I could do that without moving into the home directory? If I started from here, how could I list what's above me without going above me? Anyone remember? Oh, somebody answered. Let's see. Yep, well, we could use the dot, but I did that here, right? I did that. I did the dot there to move up, but I don't want to move up. I want to stay where I am, right? I want to stay where I am, but I want to see somewhere else. Is there a way to do that? Right. So we can do ls ... and that's going to list everything that's above me without moving me there, right? So I'm seeing what's in the folder above, moving to the folder above, right? Okay. All right, so that's that. Now, let's see. I want to practice moving files around. I want to practice doing some stuff. So I need to create some folders, right? I need to create some folders. I need to create some files. Let's see. That's what I want right there. Okay. I want to create something in maybe the documents folder, or let me do this. I want to create some files called CSE 313_1.txt, for example. Okay. Then I want to do it for 2. I want to create 10 of these. All right. Is there a way to do that quickly? Or do I have to just keep doing this? 3, 4, 5, 6. Thanks, Nita. All right, you got it. .10. All right. So now let's see what we have. That's what we wanted. Yay. Okay, so I want to move these though. I want to, because I don't want to keep them in my home directory. What I want is I want there to be a documents CSE 313 folder that has all of these files in it. All right, so let's see. Is there a way to do that? I can move, right? Move what? What do I want to move? I want to move all of them into that subfolder. So I want to move. Don't need them, and I'm not going to move them one by one, right? What I can do is I can move 313 1.10, so I can actually operate them, right? I can operate on all of them at once, and I want to move it into the slash documents slash CSE 313 folder, right? Wait, what do you mean it's not a directory? Oh, maybe I didn't. What am I doing wrong? Forgot underscore? Ah, well, I did do that. That's not untrue. It says it's not a directory though. What am I doing wrong? Let's see. Recursion. Let's see. Move -r. No. Let's take a look. Yes. Mehmet or Vaisel or both. I don't do. What do you go by? All right. Yes, that's part of the problem. There's actually another problem we'll see in just a second. But P is part of the problem because this folder does not exist in the documents folder. So I need to create this as a parent to all of these files in order to get it to go there. Okay. So, but it's still going to give me a problem. Anybody picking up on it just yet? It's kind of sneaky. I'm a little bit sneaky on this one. The problem is this right here, this one slash that I have. Remember what the slash at the very beginning means. It means that I want to go to the root directory, right? The problem is if I go to the root directory and list the, there's no documents folder there, right? And I don't have access to create such a folder because I shouldn't be able to do that. Okay, so what I'm going to do is so CD with no arguments puts me back in that home directory. Now this. All right, what am I? I see the problem actually. I see another problem. The directory doesn't exist, and I haven't made that directory yet. That's right. Okay. So now I can do that. I shouldn't need that actually, since so now I've moved all of these files into the CSE 313 folder. So if I list here, I see my full files are not there. if I go into documents. Now, what if I wanted to go to documents, but I don't want to have to type out the word documents? Do you remember what to hit? If I hit tab, what happens? Oh, nothing. If I hit tab twice, that's why. Okay, so if I hit DOC, tab, I get documents. If I hit tab again, it's going to automatically give me the CSE 313. And the reason why is that's the only thing that exists in there, right? So I want to do something else here real quick. Make directory CSE 101. Okay, so now I see that. If I were to go up a level, okay, I want to go into this CSE 313 folder directly from my home directory. So I can change directory into documents, tab, use tab to get documents. If I hit N now, what do you think will display? What do you think will happen? Think about it. If I were to hit tab right now, okay, 3, 2, 1, okay, CSE comes through, CSE comes out. And the reason why is because if I'm changing into a directory that's inside of the documents directory, I know for certain it's going to start with CSE. It's going to start with CSE because that's the only folders that exist. Now, Linux doesn't know, the system doesn't know what's going to come after that CSE, but it does know CSE is going to start with it if I'm going to successfully move from one folder, from my home directory into a folder inside of the documents directory. So let's say I want to move in. It's going to tell me, right? Move into 313, and I look at what's there. All my files, right? All the files that I put in there. Okay, so this is how we are able to move files from one place to another. We made some directories here, right? Okay. Let's see if there's anything else specific I wanted to go over on this, because I don't want to do the guided exercise or the lab here on this, because I want you to try it yourself first. I can record a video of me doing it, and that might help you, but I do want you guys to go through it yourself first and see how well that works out, and see if you have any questions or problems. Okay. Oh, yeah. Question? I can't hear you. Okay. Okay. Where were we? What? I thought somebody was asking a question on. Let's say I want to remove, let's say I want to rename, rather. Let's say a couple more examples, and then we'll call it a day. Let's say I want to remove a file. Maybe I want to remove the _1 file, okay? Or I want to rename any file that has, they're all the same. Let's say I want to rename this file to be CSE 313. Instead of a .txt extension, I want it to have something else, a .pdf extension. Okay, so I can rename a file, right, by using the move command. If I move, I hit tab, it's going to fill in everything up to what it knows my file is going to start with. All right. So I can move CSE 313.10.txt, and I want to rename it to CSE 313 underscore. All right, rename it to something else. So now if I list things out, it's now made something else, right? Now, what if I wanted to change anything with a .txt extension? No, I don't want to do that. What if I wanted to remove any files that have a txt extension? Okay, I can remove files. And how can I do anything with a .txt extension? Oh, I don't want to have to do them one by one, right? No comments. Okay, I want to remove everything with a .txt extension. I don't want to have to do it like this. I don't want to have to do CSE 313 underscore 1.txt. And there's even an easier way to do it than this. Like this, some of you might be thinking, we'll do this. And that would work. That would, in this particular situation, remove all files with a .txt extension, right? But there's an easier way to do this. If I use the star.txt, right, then that is going to remove any files that start with anything and then have .txt after that. Okay, so if I remove star.txt and then I say, what's in my folder? The only thing left is this one file with the PDF on it. Okay. We remove files. We can remove some things. We could also remove a directory, right? If I go if I try to remove the directory / CSE 313, it's going to give me a problem, right? It's not empty. Okay, so if I do the -r, why didn't that work? Did I remove -r? Okay, and here's an interesting problem we just encountered, right? We removed the stuff inside of that directory, but that directory is still there, right? And the reason why is because we're still in it. We can't really remove a directory that we're in, right? So if I replace, I'm going to go ahead and send that file. I'm going to bring this file back that we removed. Oh, actually, I think interesting. We are inside of a directory that we removed. Huh. Interesting, because I think what the problem is, we were inside a directory that we removed. Huh. I didn't think we could do that. Okay. All right. So I want to go back and let's see. I want to make directory CSE 313. I want to touch CSE. So now we're going to have so now we have this file inside of the CSE 313 directory, like we would expect. So now if I remove directory CSE 313, it's going to tell me I can't do that because it's not empty. Right? But if I do that with 101, it gives me no problem. And the reason why is because the CSE 101 directory is empty, so it can be removed. Okay. One more thing, if I were to remove -r I, okay. Let's see, maybe it's not the remove directory command. Okay, it's going to say, do you want to go into that directory? Yes. Do you want to remove that file? If I say no to this, then yes. If I say no to this, I don't want to remove that file, but yes to this, it's going to tell me it can't because it's not empty. Right? So if I want to remove the whole thing, I'm going to have to say yes to the subfiles as well. Okay, and now as you see, it's gone. All right. This computer's battery's about to die, so we're gonna have to end the class here. Oh, it's 11:20, so it's perfect. Okay, so let me stop sharing the screen. All right. So if there are no comments or questions, again, upload as soon as I am able. I will upload the lab activities and quizzes from the chapters 1, 2, and 3, and you guys can give those a go and see what you may be having if you understanding problems, or if you're having questions about that, let me know. All right. Thank you guys so much. Thank you especially for commenting and using the meeting chat to be able to talk about the course and giving comments and suggestions. All right. So hopefully in the future there won't be any lag, and we'll be able to do this thing more smoothly. Okay. Make sure do the quiz thing, the form that I have, the poll, and let me know if there was any lag problems while the virtual machine was running. Okay. All right. Thanks again, guys, and I will see you next week.